Once upon a time, in a quiet forest near a large village, there lived a clever but hungry jackal. Every day he roamed around the jungle looking for food. But the jackal was not very strong, and he often had trouble finding enough to eat. Sometimes he even had to run away from bigger animals. One evening, as he wandered close to the village in search of scraps, he suddenly heard the loud voices of villagers. They had seen him and thought he came to steal food. Frightened, the jackal ran as fast as his legs could carry him. The villagers chased him with sticks, shouting and shining lanterns in the night. The jackal darted through narrow alleys and between clay houses, his heart pounding with fear. In the darkness, he didn't notice where he was going. Suddenly, splash! He slipped and fell straight into a large open vat of blue dye in a dyer's workshop. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the jackal slowly climbs out of the dye vat. To his shock, his entire body was shining bright blue. The blue dye dripped from his fur and sparkled under the lantern lights. Even the villagers were startled when they saw this strange blue creature. They had never seen anything like it before, and terrified, they ran back to their homes. The jackal, realizing nobody could recognize him, quietly escaped back into the forest. The next morning, as he walked through the jungle, the animals saw the bright blue jackal and froze. The deer trembled, the rabbits hid, the birds flew to the treetops, and even the fierce tigers stepped back. They whispered among themselves, "What magical creature is this? Is it a forest spirit?" The blue jackal stood tall and proudly said, "Do not be afraid. I have been sent by the forest gods to protect you." His voice sounded confident, and his blue color made him appear magical. The animals believed every word. They bowed before him and decided to make him their king. The jackal could not believe his luck. The once hungry and helpless jackal now had animals bringing him fruits, nuts, and the best food from the forest. He sat on a stone throne while monkeys waved leaves to keep him cool. Elephants cleared paths for him to walk through. Birds sang lovely songs each morning. The blue jackal enjoyed every moment of his new royal life. Days passed and the forest lived peacefully under their new king. But the jackal had one secret fear. He must never reveal his real voice. If he howled like a normal jackal, the animals would immediately recognize him. So he acted calm, spoke gently, and tried very hard to behave differently from any jackal. One night, however, everything changed. The moon rose full and bright, lighting up the entire forest. The blue jackal sat on his high throne, feeling proud and relaxed. But when he looked up at the moon, his old habits took over. Like every jackal, he felt the irresistible urge to howl. Before he could stop himself, he lifted his head and let out a long, loud "Oh!" The jungle fell silent. Every animal looked up in shock. That wasn't the voice of a magical king. It was the howl of a normal jackal. Suddenly, the blue dye on his fur had started fading too. Drops of rain from the night sky washed off the color, revealing patches of his natural brown fur underneath. The animals gasped in anger. "He tricked us," shouted the tiger. "He lied to us," said the monkeys. "He is just an ordinary jackal," cried the deer. Realizing he had been discovered, the jackal panicked and ran as fast as he could. The once loyal animals now chased him out of the jungle, furious at his deception. At last, breathless and exhausted, the jackal reached a lonely corner of the forest. He sat under a tree, ashamed of his actions. He had enjoyed being treated like a king, but he had gained it by pretending to be something he was not. Looking up at the moon again, he whispered to himself, "I should never have lied. Pretending to be someone else will never bring true respect." And from that day on, the jackal lived quietly in the forest, wiser and more honest than before. Moral: Pretending to be someone you're not won't last forever. Always be true to yourself.